parents gave my $75,000 college fund, left by Grandpa, to my golden child sister for her business. I sued them, got kicked out, but now the truth is out, and karma has struck back hard. I'm 18F, and I'm going through a very tough time in life. Not that I had an easy life before. My life has always been tough, thanks to my narcissistic parents and their golden child. I have an older sister, Mandy, 24F, and she's been the problem of my life for as long as I can remember. From my earliest memories, my parents have been biased toward Mandy. Because of them, I never had a happy childhood. I wouldn't say my sister was a bully, but she's shrewd and opportunistic. She never missed a chance to exploit our parents' feelings and get away with whatever she wanted. I don't blame her entirely. My parents made her this way. She's their firstborn, and she holds a special place in their hearts. But hey, I'm their daughter too. I know many parents have a favorite kid, and that's fine. Until you make your other child feel unwanted. That's exactly what my parents did. They made my life miserable. I felt like a spare part in the house. I mostly wore my sister's discarded clothes because they were too new to throw away. I played with her old toys because, again, why waste money on new ones when hers were still in good condition? I remember only getting a new dress during Christmas, and even that was just to avoid looking bad in front of Grandpa and other guests. I'd get one set of clothes, shoes, and accessories, while my sister got as many as she wanted. If I ever complained, Mum would say, "Don't be impatient. Your sister's stuff will come to you next year." That's right, secondhand. As a kid, I bought into their logic, but as I grew older and understood the situation, I started creating a fuss. I was either told we were too poor to afford new things for me or grounded for my behavior. I don't ever remember Mom asking me what I wanted for dinner or cooking my favorite food. It was always about my sister. Be it Christmas, Thanksgiving, or any other occasion, the menu was always tailored to her tastes. Once, I rebelled and refused to eat, storming off the dinner table. I was grounded and starved until I apologized to everyone and did the dishes for the entire week. It's exhausting to recount these sorrowful tales, but this is how it's always been. You might wonder why my parents, especially my mom, treat me this way. It's because of her own sister. My mom suffered from narcissistic parents, so she ensured she became one too. The irony. Mom is the eldest of 2 siblings. She claims her parents pampered the younger one and spoiled her badly. Mom endured their biases, so she decided not to pamper the younger child, but the elder one instead. I feel like Mom sees herself in my sister and treats her the way she wished she'd been treated in her childhood. You know that kind of feeling? By the time I finished elementary school, I grew so resentful of my parents and sister that I started spending my summers with Grandpa. He was the only one who truly loved me. Grandpa wasn't very fond of my mom. I think he saw through her preposterous behavior. Maybe that's why he always rooted for me. The year I completed elementary school, Grandpa invited me to stay with him at his farm. I felt so relieved. Never had I felt so free and relaxed. Grandpa got me everything I asked for. Guilty as it sounds, I fully exploited his love. I asked for everything I couldn't get at home. Dresses, Barbies, dollhouses, video games, and every other thing I'd been craving. My parents never got me those things. I loved spending time with him at his farm, surrounded by nature. He had a poultry farm and a small stable with 4 or 5 horses. He spent his days tending to them, and life was so fun during those days. I never wanted to come back home. When it was time for high school, I insisted on getting admitted to a school near Grandpa so I could stay with him. My parents were more than happy to get rid of me. So, from freshman year onward, I lived with Grandpa. It was needed for both of us. He was getting old and needed help, and I needed an escape from my toxic family. I was in my junior year of high school when Grandpa fell ill. Perhaps he knew his time was near, so he gathered everyone and revealed his will. He left his farm and stable to 2 of my uncles. To my dad, he gave $150,000 in cash savings, with $75,000 specifically set aside for my college fund. He made me promise that I would complete my college education. Mom wasn't happy about it. She complained that others received properties and the farm, while Dad only got cash. However, Grandpa reminded everyone that Dad had already taken his share of the property, sold it off to pay his debts, and used the money to start a business. Just as I started my senior year of high school, Grandpa passed away. It was the saddest day of my life. Now I had no one to fall back on. I had to move back in with my parents, and it was anything but pleasant. I hated it, and so did they. As my graduation day approached, I asked my parents for the $75,000 grandpa left for me. I needed to fill out college applications. That's when the problems started. Whenever I asked about the money or mentioned college, they'd make strange faces and ignore the conversation. When I finally lost my patience, I put my foot down and demanded to know what was going on. Where was my money? That's when they dropped the bomb. They'd given the money to my sister for her business. What the fuck? That money was supposed to be for my college. They said it was no big deal. I could wait a year because I was too young for college. I said, "Hello? How can I be too young for college when my classmates the same age as me are getting admitted?" When they couldn't reason with me, they pleaded for a year to pay my tuition. I shot back. Why can't the golden child wait a year to start her business? I can't waste a year. I need to know what options I have to retrieve the money. Any suggestions? Update 1. A lot has happened in the last few months. My parents asked me to wait another year. I didn't agree and kept pestering them for the money. They got mad and called me mean and selfish. They're gaslighting the situation. Not only that, but my sister Mandy has started a campaign to portray me as the bad guy. I lost it when my cousin told me Mandy's been going around saying I'm jealous of her business and just want money out of her. I told Mom that if they didn't give me my money, I'd tell everyone they went against Grandpa's will and gave my college fund to their useless daughter. Mom got furious and said, "Do you want to go that far? You better pay us rent and cover your own meals. Calculate the money we've spent on you for 18 years, and we'll call it even." I fought back. Like, what the hell? They're still feeding their 24-year-old daughter, who's divorced with a child, and here they are being so mean about giving me my money. I've always gotten good grades, but they've never been proud of me. Meanwhile, their golden child brought them nothing but shame, yet they still have her back. Oh, I didn't mention this earlier, but while I was living with Grandpa, my sister got knocked up by her boyfriend. By the time she found out, it was too late to do anything about it. She had to tell my parents, who were disappointed, but couldn't do much. Mom, being a conservative Christian, forced her to marry the guy. Neither of them wanted to, but Mom left Mandy with no choice. Her boyfriend was a bum anyway. He never wanted to take responsibility. After the baby, he abandoned Mandy and the child. My parents tried to track him down, but he had evidence of Mandy mentally abusing him and filed for divorce. My parents had to bring her back home, and they've been taking care of her and the baby ever since. After Grandpa's death, when I moved back home, I found out Mom's the one raising the kid because Mandy's off and out. Sometimes Dad would get furious at Mandy for leaving her child with Mom, but Mom would always come to her rescue, saying Mandy's busy finding a job. That's not true. I've seen her hanging out at cafes and parks with guys. She's a school dropout, so she's having trouble finding a decent job. Could I care less? When she couldn't get a job, she insisted Mom give her money to start a business. Despite all this, my parents still supported her. They gave her the money without even asking me. Until I posted here, I had no clue what options I had to retrieve my money, except asking them. So, the next time I asked for the money and they pushed back, I said I'd sue them for violating Grandpa's will. Their faces turned pale. They realized I was no longer the girl they could exploit. After returning from Grandpa's, I'd already started standing up to their exploitation. When I told them I'd sue, they lost it. It was unbelievable to them. I was no longer the gullible, vulnerable little girl. Mom pulled out a notepad and scribbled down the monthly expenses they'd spent on me. I mean, she literally put 1/4 of the household expenses under my name, plus school fees and Christmas dresses. I was in awe as she doodled it all out. At the end, she said, "Forget about the $75K. You owe us $200K. Pay us before asking for your damn money." I got into a heated argument with Mom and stormed out of the house. After wandering around for an hour, I took a bus to Grandpa's house, where my uncle now lives. I asked for Grandpa's diary and got his lawyer's number. I called him and explained the situation. I asked if he could help me out. He assured me I'm entitled to the $75,000 Grandpa left for me, and it was his responsibility to ensure everyone got what was in the will. He said he'd send an official notice to my parents to give me the money, and if they defaulted, I could sue them. That was such a relief. The notice is going to reach them in a week. I'm happy to get help, but I'm equally worried about how they'll react. God knows what they'll do to me. Update 2. This is going to be a shorter one, but I just wanted to let you all know, you guys were absolutely right. My parents kicked me out, and I was mentally prepared for it. I'd already spoken to a friend about sharing a condo and took up a part-time job at a cafe. The pay isn't great, but they let me take home leftover food at closing, which helps. I'd packed my belongings a day before the lawyer's notice arrived. As expected, Mum kicked me out as soon as she received it. She screamed at me, called me a snake they'd been feeding in their backyard, and threw my stuff out of the house. She said I'd lived off their money while planning to backstab them. I yelled back that they'd left me with no options. I couldn't jeopardize my life and career because of their narcissism. The lawyer had given them a month to respond to the notice, and they're about to breach the timeline. I don't think they're taking it seriously. Mandy called and berated me for giving the family a tough time. She said our parents weren't going to give me a penny, and that I couldn't do anything about it because I didn't have the money to sue them. I didn't reveal my cards to her. I just silently listened until I couldn't take it anymore and hung up. I told my lawyer about it, and he said we could definitely sue them if they didn't respond by next week. Update 3. I suffered a severe backlash from my parents for suing them. Honestly, I didn't want to press charges or escalate things legally, but they left me with no choice. I thought the lawyer's notice would be enough to make them comply, but they ignored it. I went home to try and reason with them, hoping they'd follow Grandpa's will without further legal action. Instead, they ganged up on me, hurled abuses, and Mom even threw things at me. I'd left some non-essential items at home, planning to collect them later, but Mom pulled them out of my closet and destroyed them in front of me, just to hurt me. I was there to sort things out peacefully, but it was clear they wanted a fight. I went back to my lawyer and told him to press charges. He did, and when my parents received the court order, they panicked. Dad called me, saying we could sort things out as a family without involving the courts. Really? So now they want to talk? I went home to try and resolve things, but they turned hostile again, leaving me with no choice. The ship had sailed, and they had to face the legal consequences. During the court hearings, Dad was ordered to pay the $75,000 as per Grandpa's will, but he dropped his defenses and showed his bank statement, claiming he didn't have the full amount. He offered to pay $10,000 monthly instead. My lawyer argued that I needed the money up front for college tuition and living expenses, and $10,000 a month wouldn't cut it. The judge ruled that Dad would have to cover my tuition, accommodation, and food up to the value of $75,000. If my expenses exceeded that, I'd have to cover the difference. If they didn't reach $75,000, Dad would have to pay the balance. I wasn't thrilled about still being financially dependent on him, but I had no other choice. Dad pleaded with me, tears in his eyes, and promised he wouldn't default. I agreed, but warned him that if he or Mom caused any issues in the future, I'd sue them again, and this time, I'd demand compensation for the mental torture. He agreed. Meanwhile, Mom and Mandy continued their campaign against me. Mandy's been telling everyone I've given our parents hypertension and brought shame to the family by taking them to court. The irony, there was no shame when she got knocked up, but I'm the disgrace for asking for my own money. Honestly, I don't care anymore. They've labeled me the black sheep, and I'm fine with that. Hello everyone. To keep this video going, I need your help. We've noticed that the channel is losing traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and helps us continue bringing you great stories. So, if you enjoy our content, take a moment to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Your support makes a huge difference. Alright, let's keep going. Update 4. Hey peeps. I know it's been a while since my last update. I've been busy settling into my new life at college. I graduated high school with top grades and sent convocation invites to my parents, fully expecting them not to show up. Surprisingly, Dad came. He seemed happy, and for the first time said he was proud of me. It took him 18 years and a court case to realize I'm also his daughter, and that I needed love and care too. But it doesn't matter now. I've moved past it. I quit my job at the cafe and moved into my college dorm. The money from Dad covers tuition, accommodation, and food. Beyond that, I'm on my own. I took up a part-time job near campus and started giving math lessons to classmates for extra cash. Yes, I'm good at math. Flex, right? Dad's been sending the money diligently, as ordered by the court. Some of you asked about my relationship with Dad and where he was all this time, while Mom was being so mean. Here's the thing, Dad was basically non-existent. He saw everything happening to me, but chose to look the other way. He never questioned Mom's behavior and always went along with her decisions. He even thought Mom was saving money by making me wear Mandy's hand-me-downs. Growing up, I saw Dad struggle financially, so he was always game for anything that saved a penny. In that sense, he always supported Mom. I'm also not sure how Dad reacted to Mandy's unexpected pregnancy. Whatever little I know comes from cousins and relatives. Mandy's wedding was so hush-hush that no one even knew when it happened. Not even me. Like I said, I was living with Grandpa at the time, and I couldn't care less about what was happening at home. If I have to update you about my current situation, I couldn't be happier. I'm living my dream life, attending college and securing good grades. My relationship with Dad has improved after the court ordeal. But Mom and Mandy? They've been busy bitching about me, bad-mouthing me, and painting me as the villain. But sooner or later, they got their own mess to handle. Mandy got into trouble with the cops. The money my parents lent her for her business got swept away. Turns out, she'd opened a secret gambling operation under the cover of a gaming zone. My parents had no idea. They thought it was a legitimate gaming parlor. The cops raided the place, seized all the machines and equipment, and whatever little money Mandy had in her bank account, my parents used to bail her out. In the end, she was left with nothing. This is what she did with Grandpa's hard-earned money. Honestly, I couldn't feel more satisfied. Deep down, I didn't feel great about pushing Dad into a corner to get my money. But now, I'm glad I fought back. Mandy didn't use that money for anything good. She opened a home-wrecking gambling business. After her run-in with the cops and some jail time, Dad threw her out of the house. Mom tried to advocate for her, but Dad laid down the law. It was either Mandy or him. Mom doesn't work, so obviously, she chose Dad and told Mandy to get a job and move out. Mandy tried using her child to emotionally manipulate Dad into letting her stay, and it worked. Until the gambling scandal came out. Now, I've heard Dad's no longer buying her BS and has kicked her out for good. She's living with a friend, but who knows how long that will last. She hasn't contacted me for help. How could she, after all the torture she and Mum put me through? She better stay away from me. I won't hesitate to humiliate her further if she tries anything. Today, before writing this update, I went back and read my initial post. It made me tear up. I was in such a bad place back then. I'd just lost my support system, my grandpa. My parents had ripped me off, stealing my inheritance. I was trapped in my own house, surrounded by narcissistic parents, and fighting for a college education. There was so much uncertainty about my future. All I could see was darkness and helplessness. But a huge thanks to this community for all the support. I still miss my grandpa every day. It's because of him that I'm in college today. He's my guardian angel, and I know he's blessing me from wherever he is now. Now, on to the next story. Story 2. My ex-wife cheated on me with Mr. Romantic. Now she's broke, drowning in debt from the lavish dream wedding I never gave her, and has the nerve to ask me for money. I'm a 49-year-old man who met my now ex-wife, also 49, when we were in our mid-20s. We were friends for a while before we started dating. We dated for about a year, which isn't that long in the grand scheme of things, but at the time, it felt like we'd been together forever. She brought up marriage, and I said I wanted to wait a little longer. A few months later, I was ready to propose, and she said yes. We started planning a wedding, and that's when I should have noticed the red flags. But I didn't. Why? Because I was in love. My fiancé wanted a huge wedding. While I understood it was a special experience, I didn't see the point of spending tens of thousands of dollars on what was essentially one day. I convinced her to have a small, intimate ceremony instead. She seemed okay with it at the time, but as the months and years went by, I think she started to resent me for it. The truth is, we couldn't have afforded a big wedding back then. I suggested that maybe one day, if we renewed our vows, we could have the wedding of her dreams. That seemed to please her, but I always felt this lingering resentment beneath the surface. Was I the most romantic guy in the world? But I tried. I did little things to keep the romance alive over the years, and it wasn't like my wife didn't know this about me when we got married. We also didn't have kids, so there wasn't that pressure hanging over us. The years passed, and by the time we were in our 40s, we'd been married for almost 2 decades. Things had gotten stale, and for the past year or so, I could feel the distance growing. I decided to plan a romantic night out to rekindle the spark. I even asked my sister for help, because like I said, I'm not the most romantic guy. But the night didn't go as planned. My wife never came home. When she finally showed up the next day, she said she'd stayed at a friend's house because they'd been drinking, and it was safer to spend the night there. I believed her. The next night, I tried again. We had a pleasant dinner, but when I tried to initiate intimacy, she brushed me off, saying she was too tired. Again, I didn't think much of it. We both worked a lot, and that's why we were finally able to afford the lifestyle we had. But this trend continued. She'd come home late, make excuses, and avoid any kind of closeness. I started to wonder if I was being naive.